I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for being here and being a part of our learning community tonight, whether you're on Zoom or whether you are watching during Facebook Live or maybe watching it afterwards. We really appreciate the time that you're taking tonight to be a part of our learning community. So I wanted to start with some introductions at first. My name is Megan. I'm a National Board Certified teacher and an educator for 15 years. I have taught in Tampa. I taught in Tampa for 10 years, 4th grade and 5th grade and special education. I was the Florida Teacher of the Year in 2010. And then I've been in Massachusetts working at Mount Holyoke College in some capacity, developing teachers, supporting teacher leaders, and developing teacher leaders, coaches, and even a few principals as we work to transform public education. And it's such a pleasure to be here with everybody tonight. I would like to pass it over to Lexi from High Five Books. And Lexi, will you do a little introduction as well?
Sure thing. Thanks for having me today. I'm Lexi Walters-Wright. I use the pronouns she and her. I am the owner of a small kids bookstore here in beautiful Florence, Massachusetts called High Five Books. We specialize in graphic novels for kids and specifically social justice minded titles for young people of all ages. And I'm thrilled to share with Megan tonight.
Thank you, Lexi, and thank you for being here. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to rock and roll. One moment. All right, so along with being a lifetime educator, my most important role, which I haven't mentioned yet, is as a mom. I'm a stepmom of 4 teenagers. Yes, that's right, 4 teenagers and 1 toddler. And it's been really interesting. Thank you so much, Melissa. It's been really interesting combining my passion and love of being a mama with my role in education as we all find ourselves with our kids learning at home. And so I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about how I can combine those passions to help empower families to create simpler and better supports for at-home learning. And that's why we're all here tonight. We want to know about some things that are beyond just Clorox wipes and wine. No judgment to either one of those things. And again, thank you so much to High Five Books for being here with us tonight. So I want to start with a warning. I'm going to be showing some videos and photos of some really cute kids, so prepare yourselves. So this is our guiding question for tonight. Why this idea of curiosity? So being a newish mom, I thought I knew what curiosity meant. I thought I knew what it was in my 4th and 5th grade classroom, but now I have a 14-month-old, and I really know what curiosity is because she lives and breathes it every day. My daughter Cora is looking at sticks. She is curious about leaves and the underside of leaves. She's curious about what happens when you take all the pans out of the cabinet and then try to put them all back in. And as you're about to see, she's curious about what happens when you open and close and open and close and open and close a door. We have moments like this practically 1,000 times a day.
Hi. Okay, bye.
So thank you so much to Cora Rose for helping me think about this idea of curiosity and really what it truly means when you live and breathe curiosity every moment of your life. But I realized something else, and something that made me a little sad and a little passionate, is that this sense of curiosity that she has is really a juxtaposition and in some ways a stark contrast as to what happens in a lot of our classrooms. And this is at no fault of teachers, but we've built a system where there is this drive towards standardized assessments that I think has made us realize, at least making me realize, that what's missing in public education is what really matters: curiosity and the desire to learn. So I'm thinking about this as we all have our kids learning at home, and we have the uncertainty of what's going to happen this fall, if our kids are going to be at home, if they're going back to school, what do we do? And I'm thinking about how we reframe this really as an opportunity around curiosity. And what if we use this moment when kids are learning at home to rethink and reshape what learning is, to develop a deeper sense of curiosity for our kids? And we have that opportunity as families. So starting with a story about Orville Wright, and this is from an article in The Atlantic. I've uploaded it to a shared and free resource folder. I'll share the link with you. But it's a story about Orville Wright, and he was having a conversation with one of his friends later in life. And his friend said, you know, it's really amazing. You've achieved all these great things in life, and you really had nothing. And he stopped his friend, and he said this: the greatest thing in our favor was growing up in a family where there was always much encouragement to intellectual curiosity. That gives me goosebumps. And thinking about how we could ground this in some research, we're going to nerd out a little bit. So we have our question, why curiosity? Now, what does the research say? So this research really is from two different sources. One is from a California State University longitudinal study of over 30 years, where they got babies that were born in the late 1970s, hello, and then followed them through their adult life. And they kind of were piecing out what made them curious and what helped them with giftedness. And there was also another book that had a lot of research in it. And that book was called The Hungry Mind by Susan Engel. And there are three facts that I want to ground our thinking on. One, curiosity is a core determinant of academic achievement. Two, curiosity is a fundamental predictor of a child's aspiration to be a scientist. Sign me up for that. And three, giftedness is not something kids are born with. It's a developmental process. So it's not IQ, but we as families and caregivers have the opportunity to create spaces that nurture and develop giftedness and academic achievement. And we have that opportunity now with our kids learning at home. And I love this last quote about giftedness. And this is from the two researchers at California State University. Giftedness is not a chance event. Giftedness will blossom when children's cognitive ability, motivation, and enriched environments coexist and meld together to foster its growth. So how do we, as families and caregivers, foster that growth at home, help nurture and develop this natural sense of curiosity that our kids already have? So I was looking to one of my favorite books, and it's called The Inquiry Mindset, and it's by Trevor McKenzie, and it talks about inquiry-based learning. And so I was thinking about how we could take this best practice in classrooms, this best pedagogical strategy, and apply it to our own homes. How could I apply that to my own kids? Don't you know, teenagers just love that. But thinking about these 4 simple steps. So step 1, set up the conversation. Have a conversation with your child about what it means to be curious. And our friends at High Five Books actually recommended a really great book to help jumpstart that conversation called What John Marco Saw. Lexi, could you do a little book commercial for What John Marco Saw so we can get an idea of it?
Sure thing. So What John Marco Saw is a fairly new book within the last 3 months. It's by the author Annie Barrows, and it's illustrated by Nancy Lemon. Annie Barrows is the author of a series called Ivy and Bean, which many of you, if you have middle grade kiddos, may be familiar with. She also is the author of a grown-up book called The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. What John Marco Saw is one of those books that feels like a very simple story when we read it to our kiddos. And then when we take a moment to think it through, we realize that there's actually quite a bit here. John Marco is one young kiddo who has 2 older sisters, 2 older brothers. And basically he does something that my own kid does a considerable amount of, which is asking for some attention, a whole lot of attention. And so he's really excited to show the grown-ups in his life all of the things that he finds in his world. And as he asks for attention from the grown-ups in his world, he's describing these amazing findings that hey, he's describing these findings all around him. So from the way that leaves are falling to how fat the cat is who lives across the street, and his ability to connect with some of the intricacies in his world is so seemingly boring to the grown-ups around him, and a bit I would say not, it is just not as important to the grown-ups to key into some of these intricacies. But one of the beautiful parts of this book is that it translates John Marcos's observations into some greater understandings of how important curiosity is. It was certainly a reminder for me to clue into some of the things that my own son, who's 9 years old, thinks is very, very interesting that maybe I haven't been giving him much credit for. A very sweet picture book, and I know Megan will pass along a link to where you can check something like that out.
Thanks so much, Lexi.
Sure thing.
So a book like what John Marco saw would be a great book to start this conversation, to set up the conversation about what curiosity is. And though it's a picture book, as a 4th and 5th grade teacher, I can say I've used those with college students. And as an adult, I got a lot out of the book. So don't think just because it's a picture book, you can't use it with older kids. Absolutely. So the second step, brainstorm curiosities. And this is easy. Just ask your student, your kid, can you tell I'm in my like teacher mind? Ask your kid what they're curious about. I did this with my niece. You'll see a video, an abbreviated video shortly. It's amazing when you just keep your kind of lips closed and just listen to the things that they're thinking about. The third step, help them choose a curiosity. So help them narrow it down. What's the one thing that they're most passionate about, the most excited about, that they really want to dig into? And then the fourth step is to brainstorm questions around that curiosity. What do they want answered about that? And that fourth step is something that's, it's really easy if you have like a video, a book, maybe a virtual field trip to kind of marinate a little bit in the topic, and that'll help become a jumping board for all these questions. And then from the questions, that helps you kind of put together things, experiences, books, videos, whatever, to help your child kind of answer those big questions they have around that curiosity. So in case you're wondering what this looks like with a real child, I told you there's going to be, I gave you the warning about really cute kids. So this is my super cute and brilliant niece, Edith, when I tried out these 4 steps. So you're seeing an abbreviated version. There is a longer version that you'll have access to with the free resources. So I'd like to introduce you to Edith and her curiosities. So I want us to think about this idea of curiosity. And do you know what it means to be curious? You told me a little bit before. What does it mean?
It means to be wondering about something.
To be wondering about something. Spot on. I have a question for you, Edith. What kind of things are you curious about?
If the bug I saw the other day was a grasshopper or a walking stick.
I love that question. What I'm doing, Edith, I'm just writing down your ideas and I'm putting them on the chart so we can make sure we capture all these great ideas. Edith, what else are you curious about? What kind of things or ideas or animals?
I'm curious about how I could make an invention when I get bigger.
Oh my goodness, I love that idea. What kind of invention are you thinking about?
Well, I'm thinking about making like a robot something invention.
I love it, Edith. You are such an amazing thinker and scientist. Oh my goodness. So Edith, I have 4 things up that you told me you were curious about. You said you were curious about mushrooms. You were curious about this bug and whether it was a grasshopper or walking stick. You were curious about inventions. And you were curious specifically about a robot invention. Out of those things, which one do you find the most exciting?
Well, the most exciting to me is making an invention because I thought it might be fun.
I love it. So I'm going to take our idea of making an invention, and I'm going to put it there, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, about making this invention. I gave you the warning, right? Don't you just love a 6-year-old who wants to make a robot invention? So from there, I was able to put together, we brainstormed questions around that robot invention, and I was able to put together some activities, books, experiences for her so she could figure out how to make her robot invention. So if you want to do the same, we've got some free resources for you. So from that book on inquiry-based learning, these are adapted strategies. In the resource folder that you'll get for free, there's a PDF with the 4 steps for curiosity-based learning at home. You'll have access to the whole interview with Edith, which is super cute. Yes, she is curious about mushrooms. My sister's in here, and I know she's going to be shocked by that. And you'll also have clips to smaller videos so you can see each one of those individual steps, each one as cute as the next. There are suggested readings for grown-ups if you want to read more or nerd out on some more research, like I like to do late at night. If you loved the book, what John Marco saw as much as we did, there's a free PDF that I've created with book conversation starters to have conversation with your children about the book. And there's also a companion piece. It's a book response menu, so activities they can do to respond to the book. And then most importantly, because you put in all this hard work, there's a mocktail recipe for you for basil lime smash into curiosity. Yes, that's right. You'll notice in the mocktail recipe, under 2 ounces, there's a blank. You can fill in the blank with whatever adult beverage choice or seltzer water, whatever you like, but enjoy that and celebrate the success that you've had walking through these 4 steps to help develop a deeper sense of curiosity with your kid. And I'm super excited to pass the microphone back to Lexi, and she's going to share some great strategies that we can do that involve reading and developing a deeper and better sense of curiosity.
Thanks, Megan. So one of the things that I love about Megan's steps in terms of coming up with your child's curiosity is that it really taps into the things that they're already innately thinking about. But one of the things that I encourage families to do when they come into our bookshop, I'm also a secret librarian, so I keep my library hat on while I'm chatting with families, is to take a look at what you see your kids gravitating toward in your own home, the things that they're already looking at throughout the day. So for example, I have a 9-year-old and Minecraft is our world. And so the idea that for him, spending an extra hour of the day reading graphic novels about his absolute favorite topic, it's a win-win for both of us. He continues to be excited about his absolute favorite activity, and I feel really amazing that he gets a chance to spend some quality time reading. And that goes for things like, you know, interest in your kid's favorite characters. Without question, this is the one book, the Pokemon guide is the one that we sell out of all of the time. And it's my absolute favorite because I know so many families who keep books like this or whichever of the characters that are sort of rocking your own child's world in the back pocket, in the car, so that wherever they are, they have something to sort of browse through that feels really exciting to them. If you have a kid who's really jazzed about Hamilton, the Who Was series, I'm choosing the Alexander Hamilton book is a super fun way to kind of connect the dots for your child. And that can also go for things like, you know, cultural stories that are super interesting to your own family. Reflecting your child's heritage or their culture back to them through short stories or through works of fiction is something that is so simple, but actually it can be profoundly important to a kid to see themselves reflected back into the books that they're reading. And I think that it's really, really fun as a parent to, when I'm able to, get onto my son's level and actually do a bit of the exploring with him. So I will tell you that I'm a Minecraft noob, but it's certainly something that I'm able to, at bedtime, read with him in his graphic novel, and then kind of extend that learning and that curiosity into sitting next to him on the couch and playing a little bit of Minecraft myself. Again, it sort of validates his learning for him. And the last thing that I would share too is one of my absolute best tips for families who are beginning to think through how to explore their child's passions. This is where, even though we are in this COVID era, libraries are beginning to open back up. And I so encourage you to think through whatever the topic is that your child is interested in. Come up with 4 to 7 different books around that in different genres. Choose graphic novels, choose works of fiction, choose really silly baby books, something that is even below your child's level. I promise you that kiddo is going to spend a tiny bit of time around that topic, looking through those books. And that is a really good way to choose maybe which one of those books need to be added to your family's own permanent collection. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you so much, Lexi. And to our folks on Zoom and our folks watching on Facebook, if you're local to Northampton, specifically Florence, Massachusetts, definitely check out High Five Books and Art Always. And if you're not local, connect with Lexi anyway, because she'll still hook you up and show you how to get books shipped right to your house. And she has the best book recommendations. And I think as a woman who is starting a small business of her own, I would do all that I could to help promote and share great small female-owned businesses. So let's send some business to Lexi. Yeah, I like that. Thank you. So we do appreciate your time here tonight. We are going to be sharing those resource folders with you. We'll put them in the Facebook Live thread if that's how you're connecting with us. We'll share them by email if you're connecting with us by Zoom. And we just want to thank you for during these cattywampus times. Do you like that word, Lexi? That was for you, the library nerd. During these cattywampus times, thank you so much for sharing in our learning community tonight. And here's to curiosity. We are at the end of our time. If you have questions or want to chat or have ideas you'd like to share, please feel free to stay on and we'll have some great discussion. To everyone else, enjoy your family and your kids at home and your teenagers who show up magically in the middle of Facebook Lives because they're looking for an iPad. All right, bye everybody. Feel free to stay on.